My name is David Daniel Ball, and these are the headlines for Monday, the 2nd of March, 2009. Sydney's beaches closed after sea kitten attacks teen surfer. League players questioned over alleged rape. Alcopop sales slump after tax hike, teens still drink more. Baby bonus bumps up teen births, new campaign to rebadge conservative policy as ALP. 5 injured in Harbour Bridge pile-up. South Africans bounce back, hunt world record finish. 50,000 skilled workers to hit the scrap heap by 2010, says Clarius. Chelsea tries to win Harry back. Footage of police officer bashing 15-year-old girl shocks the US. Nixon defends bushfire recovery efforts. Warwick Capper to take on Pauline Hanson. Raped 9-year-old wants to abort twins. Firefighters to take action against Pacific Brands. Murder suspect turns himself in. And in comments. From Tim Blair, background requested, look who's stalking. I've left you a link for that. From Andrew Bolt, Chinese whispers. Another guess goes wrong. Kevin Rudd, the RBA and Treasury have clung to the hope that reasonable growth in China will limit reductions in Australian commodity exports and buoy economic activity. Come on, Andrew, if Rudd were misled, he wanted to be and used it politically for advantage, like Lindsay Tanner claiming the Libs were talking down the economy. Makeup needed. We can conclude that Tony Abbott is dangerously cross and that Greg Combet is not someone in whom to confide. Tony Abbott has apologized to fellow opposition frontbencher Christopher Pyne for implying he enjoys wearing makeup. Mr. Abbott made the comments in a television station's makeup chair next to government MP Greg Combet. The comments were later leaked to the media. As Mr. Abbott and Mr. Combet's makeup was being removed after last Tuesday's interview, Mr. Abbott reportedly said Christopher would probably want his left on. Mr. Abbott, the Indigenous Affairs spokesman, later apologized for comments and said he was just pissed off that Mr. Pyne had been given the role of manager of opposition business in Parliament over him. Oh, doesn't that just show how nasty the ALP can be? Meet Mitch, your Aboriginal elder. Good to see we were officially represented and by someone senior enough for the Australian Federal Police to notice. Jews not welcome in Malmo. Add Muslim extremists to the radical left and you get a place not safe for Jews or even those who watch them play. Instead of 4,000 noisy tennis spectators brought up on memories of Bjorn Borg and Stefan Edberg on court exploits on the Davis Cup, it now looks close to certain that the Sweden's tie against Israel on Friday will go ahead in silence before just a handful of journalists and officials. After a last-ditch attempt to switch the tennis match to Stockholm failed because of lack of time, spectators will be banned from the venue in Malmo for fear of anti-Israel protests. Malmo, Sweden's third largest city, has a left-leaning local government and a large Muslim minority. Despite an earlier police report saying that they could deal with any potential protests or other security issues, local leaders narrowly voted to ban spectators. Shame on Sweden, all disgrace on Malmo, and what an indictment of the International Tennis Federation that it did not cancel this tie. 1 year, they might be right, or not. How many more chances do we deserve from global warming believers? You'll have to check the link for that. No, let me eat cake. Robert Mugabe thinks Marie Antoinette was a wimp. Does anyone in Obama's team pay taxes? Surely not another one. White House General Counsel Gregory Craig has seized control of Obama's vetting process after a series of nominees with unpaid taxes. But his wife's business may also have avoided taxes. Who vets the vetter? Cheers to global warming. A new Italian study toasts those lovely emissions. The expected rise in CO2 concentrations may strongly stimulate grapevine production without causing negative repercussions on quality of grapes and wine. Indeed, the wine could even be better, says the study, cheerfully peer-reviewed until dawn by scientists eager to pore over the research. Stereotypes confirmed. The combination was hoped to challenge damaging stereotypes of Sydney Lebanese. The film story has clever snapshots of everyday stereotypes endured by multiracial suburban Australians with nuances of cultural education. The ABC's David Stratton raved about it, absurdly exaggerating those stereotypes and blaming you-know-who for them. David, well, that's right. I mean, it's a tragedy in some ways, and the easy prejudices, the easy assumptions, the assumption that all Arabs are terrorists kind of thing, that the white kids have seemingly, which, we know where they come from. John Howard seems to be David's answer. Facts on the ground might be the answer of many others, especially after a couple of news reports about this film and its stars. The star of a new movie about Lebanese gangs has been sentenced to more than 7 months in jail. Ali Haidar, 19, who was plucked from the streets of Rockdale according to promotional material for Film The Combination, appeared before Magistrate Brian Maloney in Central Local Court today on one charge of common assault, and Haidar pleaded guilty. And now an Australian film about Lebanese gangs has been pulled from Greater Union cinemas in Sydney after violent outbursts at early screenings. It is also a demonstration of the underbelly phenomenon. Incidentally, that TV validates the violent even when it purports to damn. Bryce, $2,000 for mere Governor General. She really does have grand pretensions for an unelected activist. The televised address from someone that not 1 in 20 of the viewers would have identified without the help of a caption was merely cringe-making. But Bryce's briefings and the repeated meddlings in politics, even calling on the Rudd government to pack an unaffordable scheme of paid maternity leave, suggests an ego in conflict with an obligation. Pay for play, but also play for pay. It's nice, in one way, that judges will now reinforce what priests have tried to preach, that there's a price to pay for breaking the 7th commandment. New laws that start today leave cheating husbands open to divorce-style litigation from their mistresses, who can now claim income maintenance, property, and even superannuation funds. The Family Law Amendment, de facto financial matters and other measures, dubbed the mistress laws, were passed by the Senate last November. But I suspect this new law will in fact weaken marriage, not reinforce it, by, in some cases, treating marriage and wives as no different to affairs and mistresses. Wicked bosses are too handy. More evidence that the Rudd government is just whipping up hatred to distract and not to fix anything that's broken. Deputy Prime Minister Julia Gillard has been unable to outline details of how the government plans to deal with community anger over lavish executive salaries. Caring for the careless. Here's the dilemma as we hand out cash to victims of the Black Saturday fires. Do we reward the prudent by letting them have a profit on being burned out, or do we reward the imprudent by giving them more help than anyone else? What would Bush do? No matter how gently Associated Press put it, Barack Obama fooled the left when he promised change you can believe in and a pullout of troops in Iraq within 16 months. The combat withdrawal will take 3 months longer than he promised. It is now to be completed by the end of 2010, 19 months after Obama's inauguration. The withdrawal will not happen at an even pace of 1 combat brigade per month, as he had repeatedly said. Instead, it will be backloaded. Under Obama's plan, troops will start leaving in large numbers, probably only next spring or summer. Even after the drawdown, a large force of as many as 50,000 troops, about a third of what is there now. AP sums up, the force posture for this year and into the first few months of 2010 will probably be essentially the same as it would have been under Bush. I'd bet it's not much different beyond that too. But while I might damn Obama for having been so deceptive, I'm glad he doesn't now insist on honoring a promise that was so reckless, so dangerous, and so unrealistic.